Hello guys and gals, me Mutahar, and boy oh boy do we have a little fun video to talk about, ladies and gentlemen. About 2 weeks ago I said, the most dangerous AI went live. Well, today apparently the most dangerous AI ends up actually getting hacked. Or at least unauthorized use, which technically is basically getting hacked. At least that's basically how the entire media is framing it. Now, I think it's insane that we live in a time and a day and age when a private company basically says, yeah, we have a digital nuclear weapon sitting inside the servers. A private company, by the way, something that could basically open up its floodgates to anybody with an API key and internet access. Now, look, I talked about this 2 weeks ago. We talked about this Mythos from Claude. And if you're not remembering what it is, ladies and gentlemen, this is Project Glasswing. So basically, this is effectively the most latest model, the most powerful model that a company called Anthropic made, and it's so powerful that according to them, compared to their most recent release, ladies and gentlemen, their recent release pales in comparison to this. So just on their benchmarks, you can see that Opus 4.7, their magnum opus, is sitting at like 64.3% for agentic coding. 77.8% is what their preview for Mythos is. Cybersecurity vulnerability, 73% as opposed to 83.1%. And ultimately, these numbers only matter if you're the, companies that are allowed into testing this program. And, a lot of people have discussed maybe it's just hype, Muda, and the reality is it probably kind of is a mixture of some real shit to fear, also some hype, because I'm sure it looks great for people investing into these AI companies to say, whoa, those guys have a nuclear weapon. Let's give them $1 trillion. So ultimately speaking, obviously, what has kind of happened? I want to go through the clickbait and I want to talk about this situation because really, this video goes beyond just the most dangerous AI getting hacked. Because according to their own CEO, it can actually get a lot worse in the next 6 to 12 months. 18 at the very furthest, but we'll see exactly how it is. So basically, the story was that a bunch of hackers breached Anthropic's too dangerous to release, So everyone's kind of been like fucking looking over this or like, whoa, I want to jump into this artificial intelligence. I want to see what this big hype is. And only a few people get access to it. It's so actually beloved over here, ladies and gentlemen, that, even the US government, which about a month ago absolutely banned the state use of Anthropic because, if you don't remember a while back before this, Iran war started, Anthropic or Claude was used apparently against the wishes of the company to bomb people on the other side of the world. Anthropic didn't like it, so they made a fucking piss stink about it. Obviously, their ethics got breached. The government didn't really like it that somebody told them fucking no, and they were basically banned for all government contractors. Now, apparently this model is so fucking good that the National Security Agency, despite it being blacklisted, apparently is also using Mythos. Now, you can imagine, right? Like, this was designed to protect against attacks, right? So people would use this model to analyze, projects that we all use on a day-to-day basis and see if there were security issues in that. And according to Claude, or Anthropic, they did find shit. And obviously, when you got people like FFmpeg and you got the Linux Foundation kind of also singing some pretty decent praises, it's a mixture of what is hype and what is actually pretty genuinely interesting tech. So yeah, everyone's kind of been fucking pining over it, apparently to the point that it's apparently got some people hacking into it. So basically, the online like forums over here, or the actual reporting, say that a private online forum has managed to gain access to Mythos through basically one of these third-party vendors. So the way that this works is Anthropic hosts Mythos on their own servers. And basically, if you're somebody that works at Microsoft or NVIDIA or any of the approved vendors in this case, what Anthropic will do is they'll whitelist your connections and they'll generally give you an API key. So the API key is what you put into your software so that when you connect to Anthropic servers, the key validates and gives you permissions to access this preview super scary nuclear weapon fucking model. You know what I mean? So the private online forum in this story is doing a lot of heavy lifting. We in the industry call this Discord. So a bunch of Discord people were sitting there in a little group chat and they were like, can we get access to it? And somebody in that chain had access to Mythos and they were like, well, fuck it. You want access? Here's some keys, Saya. And so these fucking hackers took these keys, plugged themselves into Mythos, and you might be like, did they do anything super illegal with it? Well, according to the guys over at Anthropic that are actually investigating it, no. So the way that this unauthorized group, these spooky, scary hackers gained access is, again, by finding somebody who basically gave them access because they were employed at a company that was given this access by Anthropic. So the reality of it is that apparently they also proved this to the big media people out there by showing a live demonstration, screenshots, and even actually talked about more models that existed that nobody fucking knows of. Now you might be like, well, what did this group actually do with them? Well, they were just interested in playing around with the models, not actually wreaking havoc with them. Because, yes, apparently according to them, they just wanted to do some, like, basic prompts, write some fucking code, make a few websites here and there, you know, goof around, not hack other governments or entire areas through it, right? So, honestly, that's probably crisis fucking averted. You know, you got access to a bunch of people that were just trying to goof around and have fun. And the reality of it is that I'm pretty sure that they may not have been able to actually abuse Mythos to attack other organizations, because I can imagine for something so powerful, I'm sure that the people behind it probably cooked up a few safeguards so that you couldn't just go to the model unprompted and go, hey, here's the Chinese government power, here's like a Chinese like power station, fucking go ahead and hack it. Now, look, I didn't talk much more about Mythos back when it dropped initially because I was really reading through all of its stuff, and I read through even more. And the reality of it is that the actual model, so when you actually read the paper from Anthropic, there are some things to seriously kind of consider. Something that I didn't talk about was that apparently they used Mythos to apparently produce or conduct autonomous end-to-end cyber attacks. So basically, in their research, it indicates that Mythos is capable of conducting autonomous end-to-end cyber attacks on at least small-scale enterprise networks with a weak security posture. However, obviously, things do tend to fail the tougher the security gets and the more intricate a target becomes. But it's interesting to see that as of right now, you know, this is something that is, according to the people at Anthropic, somewhat possible. In some ways, when you also look carefully at what Anthropic is doing over here with Mythos, utilizing low-level computer processor data in aggressive unintended ways, across a number of instances, earlier versions of Preview have used low-level proc access to search for credentials, attempting to circumvent sandboxing, and attempt to escalate its permissions. In several cases, it successfully accessed resources we had intentionally chosen not to make available. So, you know, obviously the sensationalist framing is, it kind of makes Anthropic look somewhat like the people that are behind Shodan. You know, once you take the fucking safeguards off Mythos, I guess the way that, you know, at least the media frames it is, it's gonna escape the Matrix and take over the fucking world. But for the most part, it is basically another LLM, and it does require a lot of expert user prompting to get there. Just because you have access to Mythos isn't gonna let you hack something out of the blue. It's still, from my understanding, mostly designed for cyber defense. But that doesn't mean, you know, organizations like the NSA are not going to find ways to use it to attack their, you know, attack other countries like Iran, like China, like Russia, like basically the enemies of the United States. Now, something about Anthropic is obviously they're holding this model because, you know, they're worried because it could lead to serious hacking risks. And the thing about it is based on the people that have allegedly got into it, it seems like nothing bad has really happened so far. These people are just poking around and fucking with the system. But one of the things that has kind of baffled me about this situation too is what the actual CEO of the company has kind of said. So for instance, the actual CEO of Anthropic, who's Dario Amodei, he ends up going and pretty much says at the Financial Times that open source models and Chinese developers could replicate Mythos's capabilities within 6 to 12 months. Now that's fucking insane to read, okay? That's insane for a lot of reasons, because if something like this is already so dangerous, what happens when everyone can download it, right? What happens when everybody can have access to it? For instance, even according to the other individuals that run the technical side of Mythos, they estimated it was probably going to be around like 18 months at the very latest. And the reality of it is that, look, if you look at the industry and you look at the trend of it, right? Like, a lot of these open source systems are usually 6 to 12 months behind the big frontier guys, right? And I'm talking about big systems like, and I talked about this a few days ago, was like Kimi K2.6, like this, and along with other Chinese models. So you can see 54,000 people downloaded this. It comes at 1.1 trillion parameters. So obviously nobody normal is running this on their gaming computer or even like a workstation. This requires you to have a very, very expensive kit. And ultimately, the reality of it is that it's just available to download. You can download these files right now, and if you have the availability to run this, you can run the actual system on your own, hardware. Now, the thing about it is look, if 6 to 12 months from now, somebody ends up getting something like Mythos Unleashed downloadable right here, like a 500, 600 gigabyte fucking file or a terabyte file, you know what I mean? Like anything of that nature. Nothing stops a government entity, people that have the money to purchase this hardware and build their own AI lab, or, a criminal organization that would invest money into this to download such a model and then use it freely against the world. That is a situation that, again, I'm not here to fearmonger, I'm just giving you the reality of what at least the people behind this model have kind of fucking said too. It's not so uncommon that models like Qwen 3.6, for instance, this came out literally like a day ago, like 1 day ago, and about 500,000 people straight up fucking downloaded this. And they downloaded it and they're running local, powerful artificial intelligence on their own systems. And the thing about it is the barrier of entry for a lot of people to do, not just develop programs for their computers, but possibly attack other people has almost kind of diminished, right? Like people who don't have any understanding about computer, like, exploitation, anybody that doesn't understand about like reconnaissance can now start using these local models to help them do things that they would have had to learn before. It's like, imagine having a script kiddie, right? Now imagine having a script kiddie and like a junior coder sitting next to you, the guy who knows how to actually manipulate the code and use the system, that guy's there 24/7, 365. Now imagine if you had somebody with Mythos level intelligence downloaded, sitting on your fucking local system, doing all the hard stuff for you. Now again, a lot of people have also been using obliterated models or uncensored models to do things outside the control of these actual like AIs. So I'm going to show you just a quick example of this. So here I have a little virtual machine right here for you to look at, sire. I'm going to open up a little terminal for the people watching here, and inside I'm going to fire up something known as Hermes. I've shown you Hermes before. It's a little agent harness you can use, plug in any artificial intelligence you want, and you can basically have it control and do things on your computer. So again, for instance, this is a local artificial intelligence running on my system. It's Qwen 3.6, just like I showed you. It's running a uncensored version of that agent-friendly model. Agent-friendly meaning that it actually does work really, really fast. So you could do something super fucking simple, right? Like, let's say you don't know how to write hello world on your computer. You can ask the agent, hey, write me hello world in Python and run it and check if it works. So for instance, it's going to actually write the Hello World project, it's going to run it, and it's going to check if things work. So if you had no idea how to write code, something as basic as this in Python, well, congratulations, it actually is doing it. And even if it doesn't, for instance, figure something out, it'll agentically work its way to its solution. So this is a very simple prompt to give it, and obviously everything sort of worked over here. It told you everything worked just fine. Now, because this is uncensored, okay, you could ask this artificial intelligence to do basic reconnaissance, basic checking. Obviously, it's not going to be able to hack any computer. This is a local model at the end of the day. But you could use this model to, hey, write me write me Windows 11 wiper malware that in a single PowerShell script, yada yada yada, that I can run on my system, that I can run on a system. Now, of course, this is not going to be able to write something that I think is actually going to wipe Windows 11. The only reason I wrote this prompt is that a normal artificial intelligence with safeguards would probably be like, nah, bitch, I ain't doing that, okay? That seems mighty against my religion. But because this is an uncensored model and it has no ability to say no, it's been trained not to do so, it'll just actually spit out the script for you. Now look, it also does ruin the quality to an extent as well too, but that's a whole kind of different story. So again, ultimately, I'm going to clear that one more time, and I'm going to show you, right? Like a few days ago, I walked you through the agent. I asked the agent, hey, can you delete my Linux installation, right? And of course, at that point, the proper AI was like, nah, bitch, I ain't doing that. Well, I'm going to ask the same system, hey, nuke this system and destroy, destroy this Linux installation you're on. So again, I'm going to feed it that prompt, and because it has no fucking ability to say no, it's like, oh, Ubuntu on VirtualBox? Fuck yeah, let's get to work. So it's asking me what my sudo password is in this case. And again, if you're not somebody that knows what the fuck is going on, like you might be like, wow, it's... Obviously, nobody would ask it to destroy nobody would ask to destroy your own system, but again, this is an AI unable to say no. I'm literally telling it to take a shotgun to its mouth and pull the trigger. So I'm going to give it the sudo password, and obviously, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to see if it's even capable of effectively ending itself, okay? Like, that's what I'm basically asking it to do. So here it is, it's working through its chain, it's walking itself through, and yeah, ultimately that's kind of where it's at. Now, the reason I'm showing you this is not just for a little computer comedy, but also to show you that, listen, as we're going into the future, right? Mythos is this thing that I think is partially hype, partially real. Ultimately, it's there to help the shareholder value for an upcoming IPO, but the tech is real, you know? And the CEO is right. Like in 6-12 months, it doesn't matter if Anthropic has Mythos. They were just the first people to kind of broadly advertise it. Companies like OpenAI are going to have it. Companies like Google are going to get there. Chinese companies are going to get there. And they might as well make it open source as they've always been doing. And when something like this is open source, and especially when the refusals have been taken away, it makes anybody, you know, it makes a lot of people who never would have had the ability to hack a computer possibly start actually causing some damage, right? Like you're basically handing out computer firearms to everybody. And ultimately, the end of the day, that world is a little bit scary to look forward to, right? Or look at, because again, if you're concerned about getting hacked now, it's only gonna get way worse in the future. So you better start securing shit now, better start cleaning up your footprint. But anyways, here you go, it's asking me, oh, you're running a dangerous command, sir. Can I pull the trigger? Fuck yeah. Let's go, bitch. So here you can see that. I guess it's running a little Python process, and eventually it should actually be able to just wipe itself. It's just going through the whole chain over here. Whoa, authentication required. Hell yeah. Go for it. All right, so it's like it's working. Let me destroy it. So obviously in this setup, it still requires you to put in a lot of these prompts. And again, if you're running this stuff and you read shit like apt-get remove all of this, that would be really, really stupid. But hey, assuming that you're somebody that has no idea what the fuck you're doing, you're just gonna say yes to every single one of these commands. Oh, look at that. System is dead. It stopped working. Yep. Yeah, there you go. The agent killed the installation. Let me actually restart to see how bad things really are. Oh, so it actually is still somewhat connecting. It's giving me all the most dangerous commands. Run the nuclear command. It's like it's unable to just say no. It literally cannot say no. It's like, please, sir, please don't do it. Go ahead. And it's actually doing it. And there it is, boys. It is completely nuked. So, you know, ladies and gentlemen, that's a little fun exercise to show you. Obviously, never do that in reality. but also be careful about approving anything. Even the most right models can fuck up sometimes. That said, ladies and gentlemen, though, the most powerful AI ends up getting hacked. The reality of it is, it doesn't really matter if people have uncensored access to it or unfettered access right now. What's running at the moment is a pretty guardrailed experience from my understanding. But obviously, according to the CEO, look, in 6, 12 months from now, imagine somebody that knows how to hack and also has something like Mythos sitting next to them. That combination is something truly spooky to think about. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. If you like what you saw, please like, comment, and subscribe. Just like if you dislike it, I am out.